I think he might be
Okay.
on. I think so.
Okay.
Just yeah, I think he's coming on.
Mr. Borman, thanks for I'm glad you were able to join us on your personal device. You know, I think we're going to try to go with on Teams in October because, I mean, the state also has Teams, but gosh, DoD must be the only ones in the world not, not using Zoom off your network. And you know what? Zoom has got to do something about that. They got to win the trust of DoD, and I guess that's more revenue for Zoom. Yeah.
That's going to be a.
Yeah, I tried Zoom on 4 different browsers, and none of them worked on the Army computer system.
Wow. And it's not just Army. I found out it's Coast Guard also. So I guess it's DoD wide.
Okay, Terrence is coming on right now. Thanks.
A question for all of you. This is Alan Hayashi.
Hi, Alan.
Microsoft meeting. Does that work for you? Does that Microsoft meeting? Does that work for you all?
Well, I mean, this is a good time to ask for if you want to just speak up, especially DoD folks. Yeah, DoD folks have Teams, Microsoft Teams. It's just a matter of Deb. I don't know if, and James. James, are you guys loaded with Teams because you're DOE?
Yeah, we're not actually. So we'd have to create our own personal accounts on there, but that's not an issue if we need to.
You know, Alan, I think it's a fairly easy process. I was talking over that with our technician here at the office, and I think it's just a matter of everybody just kind of clicking on the Teams link. You don't actually have to download the application into your computer and be able to participate.
Yeah,
I have Teams.
Okay, great, Deb.
Yeah, I've used it once, so it works, and apparently it's comparable to Zoom, so maybe you want to consider that.
Right. Yeah, we are for October.
Okay.
Jessica, you folks have Teams on the Coast Guard?
We have Teams. Yeah, we have Teams.
Great. Well, it's 1:32. I'm still waiting for the chair to log on, and I don't see him and others.
I spoke to him this morning, and he was planning to log in. So,
Okay.
You want me to give him a call?
Alan, I just spoke to him recently too, and he sounded like he was gonna be on board.
Okay, got it.
Yes, sir. This is Duke. Are you clicking on the link? Let me. Right. Can't. Okay. No. Do you see any? Do you see the blue Zoom meeting link? Yes, sir.
Hello.
Okay, you're on now.
Oh, finally.
Great. That's wonderful.
How many people do we have?
20. 19. Sounds like a good 19. It sounds like a good number to start. So if you want to, it's 135. I know we got a lot of material to cover, and people can just join in and just flow in the conversation, the meeting.
Yeah, okay. Let's move ahead here. Sorry for the delay. But welcome to our first virtual Military Veterans Affairs Committee meeting. I'd like to extend my best wishes to all of you. And hopefully all of you were able to get through this pandemic safely. It's been 9 months since we had our last meeting. That was on November 20th, 2019. And because of the COVID pandemic and social distancing requirements and the governor's stay-at-home policy, we have been unable to meet in person or virtually until now. And I'm looking forward to our regular scheduled meeting every other month. And it appears that virtual meetings will be with us for quite a while. Okay, now for some special instructions on communicating in Zoom and YouTube. I'm not sure if everybody realizes that we're also on YouTube. So as you see, we are meeting in the Zoom virtual platform and simultaneously live streaming the meeting to the public on YouTube. If you are participating on Zoom, please keep yourself on mute when not speaking. When you have a question or comment, unmute yourself to speak. Also, you have the option of entering your question or comments in a chat box. If you are observing from YouTube, you can enter your question for the committee in the YouTube chat box. The staff will copy and paste your question to the Zoom chat box for verbal response. The simultaneous simulcast from Zoom to YouTube has an approximate delay of about 20 seconds. For those of you joining us on YouTube, thank you for your interest in participating. Any handouts or presentation slides viewed today will be posted along with the agenda on the Hawaii Department of Labor Workforce Development Council website. And the staff will post the link to the website on the chat boxes. Approval of minutes. Now will committee members take time to review the minutes of our last meeting, which was November 20th, 2019. And I'll wait for comments or motion to approve the minutes. Do I hear a motion for approval of the minutes?
Sir, this is Roman Galiki. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Sir, this is Robert Bolin. I second it.
Thank you. A discussion? Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All of you in favor of approving the minutes, say aye or give me a thumbs up.
Aye.
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 Those opposing say nay. Hearing none, the minutes are approved as written. Okay, now, let's see. Before I go on to our next subject, I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of the 75th commemoration of the end of the war, end of World War II. That's coming up with formal services on September 2nd. But there's going to be other, some flyovers that are going to occur before that. So on Saturday, August 29th, there will be a flyover of warbirds, and I'll have Mark's staff post the schedule for the 29th of August. The flight leaves from Wheeler Air Base at 10 o'clock, and it will fly down toward Honolulu, cross Hawaii Kai, up Makapu'u, over to Kaneohe, then back to Wheeler. They leave at 10 o'clock in the morning and they'll land at 10:35. On Sunday, there's another warbird flight that leaves Wheeler at 10 o'clock and goes around the west side, up through Kaina Point and all the way down the shore back to Wheeler Air Force Base. Then on Wednesday, September 2nd, the ceremony will begin at 10:30 and end at 11. And that also has a flyover that leaves at 7:50 Wheeler and goes around the west side and then lands back at Wheeler at 8:13, kind of a short flight. So if we can see the schedule and posted for a short time, you're going to have this posted on the internet, right, Mark? Or can it be?
I'm sorry, can you hear me? So I'm trying to get the slide up of the aerial route that you were just referring to, and
we can get it later if you don't have it.
Okay,
now.
okay.
But it's a very definitive route. And if you know what I'm talking about, standing and waiting for a flight to come by for half an hour is not the thing you want to do. So this gives you definitive times so you know where it'll be. So the first one here is on Saturday. This is on Saturday. And if you notice, it leaves Wheeler, goes down and comes down by Diamond Head, Makapu'u, Marine Corps Base, Hawaii, up La'i, Upanareda, and back down to Wheeler. So if you know where you're going to be at that time, starts at 10 o'clock, departs Wheeler, and hits Waipahu at 10:05, Stadium at 10:06, Makapu'u at 10:16, Kaneohe at 10:20, and La'i at 10:25, and Kahuku at 10:27, and lands at 10:35. So that's the east side. Now let's look at the west side. I just got these slides this morning from one of the board members of the commemoration committee, and she was, Elisa Lyons, was good enough to send it to me. So let's look at the west side now. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this because we have a lot to do. So maybe we can get to it later. Okay, I guess the next subject is impact of the pandemic on veteran services. So I'll ask Mark to say a few words. Mark, we're not hearing you. This is all new to us, so bear that in mind, guys, ladies. Still not hearing you, Mark.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, one moment, please. I'm just going to bring this presentation up. What I'd like to do is give a brief update on the Workforce Development Council and what's been going on the last 5 months during these unprecedented times. Now, I think the majority of you I have met. I think there's one or two of you that are new to this meeting for the first time that I can see. So, just for the benefit of those who are new, here is. Do you see the slide that says what is the MVAC and its purpose, and what is WDC and its purpose? So, if you just look over that real quick, that gives you situational awareness on what we do as a committee. And I just want to make sure everybody understands that this committee is a standing committee. It's a sub-organization of the larger Workforce Development Council. And the Workforce Development Council is actually enacted into Hawaii law, revised statutes, chapter 202. And it clarifies what this council does in support of the state workforce development space, as well as complying with the federal law, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act of 2014. The council, the larger council, actually consists of 41 members, of which our chair Richardson, is a member of one of those 41 members, and also Alan Hayashi, who is also on the call. He is the actual vice chair for the larger council. All right. So a couple of things I want to provide updates for you. A couple of things that have been going on. The first one is I'd like to promote this new job website. It's called Hawaii is Hiring, hawaiiishiring.com. And it was developed as a collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce in concert with our agency, Workforce Development Council, as well as private partners. As you can see, American Savings Bank, Anthology, University of Hawaii, and Upspring, and one more on there too. So and the Chamber of Commerce is the lead agency on this. And what they want to do is impress upon the public during these unprecedented times that, hey, businesses are not shut down. There are many businesses and employers that are hiring and are in dire need of workers, whether it's because of the pandemic or whether they always needed workers prior to the pandemic. So this website I want to bring to all of your attention. If you can share it among your partners and especially with your clientele. I haven't thoroughly gone through the website, but it's the newest website locally produced that benefits the local workforce population. So that was something that was worked very vigorously and hard. And it actually didn't start until the pandemic actually came upon us. So the Chamber of Commerce with us and other partners, worked to get this website standing on July 1. So the other thing I want to mention is a couple of weeks ago, the 2020 NASWA Veterans Conference was held virtually, and NASWA stands for the National Association of State Workforce Agencies. So this is it's a non-government entity. It's a private organization that is funded by fees and dues of participating states and territories. But this organization exists to advocate very vigorously, NASWA that is, for the workforce development interests of all 50 states and Puerto Rico, Guam, and Virgin Islands. And they're like a lobby arm. That's essentially what they do, is they lobby for workforce development programs that benefit the programs in every state. Now, NASWA has, like our Workforce Development Councils, has 6 standing committees, of which one of them is the Veterans Affairs Committee. The Veteran Affairs Committee, of which I'm a member of representing Hawaii, holds an annual Veterans Conference every year for the last 15 years. Because of the unprecedented, unusual times, this was the first year that they went virtual. And I'm happy and ecstatic to say that 15 members of our committee participated in the conference and were able to sit in on the 3 days of both large group plenary sessions as well as small group breakout sessions. So thank you for those of you on the call for joining in on that. And there are slide presentations that are available to everybody on this committee, whether you were able to attend the conference or not. So we can get that out to you on a request basis. Now, lastly, I just want to make sure we're all situationally aware on the latest as it pertains to COVID-19 here in Hawaii. This was as of yesterday. The total cases we've had since we've been tracking this since earlier this year, February, is 6,984 statewide, broken down in each of the 4 counties. Deaths are 49, and most of those deaths have been with senior age individuals with underlying conditions. So that's the latest on that. So that's what I want to pitch to you as far as updates on the Workforce Development Council. And we are working vigorously to support the workforce here in Hawaii, according to the governor's guidance and feedback from standing committees like ours. Now, our space as part of the larger council is to focus on veteran services, transitioning service members, military spouses, and National Guard and Reserves. So with that, that concludes my update on Workforce Development Council. Are there any questions? I'll hand it back to the chair.
Any question? So the pandemic crisis has really done a lot to harm our workforce, jobs in Hawaii. So as you know, the tourist industry is really at a standstill. So Hawaii's economy is based on tourism and the military or defense. On the plus side of it, the defense budget has increased a lot. So where we're down on tourism, the defense industry has increased. So where in years past, the military budget for Joint Base Pearl Harbor, Hickam, has been about $2.6 billion a year for construction. This year it's 6.0 billion. So there's a lot more jobs in the defense sector for our veterans and for the people of Hawaii. We recently had a briefing by the person that's in charge of engineering and the facilities for the Pacific. And the focus right now is in the Pacific. So for those veterans that can qualify or have veterans can apply with veterans preferences, I would seriously have them think about looking into jobs within the defense sector if they are looking for that. So when I say defense sector, it's shipyards, facilities, the construction of facilities in Pearl Harbor and Hickam. Also at Barking Sands facility, they're going to be increasing construction there. Marine Base Hawaii also has a lot of construction projects coming up. So that's one area that you can steer people to for jobs if they need a job right now. So the next subject that we're supposed to be talking about is jobs for veteran state grant or the JVSG update. Now, who was supposed to give that?
I believe Ann is on the meeting. Ann, are you there? Okay, if not, then I can proceed. I was prepared to give the update on the Jobs for Veteran State Grant Program. So for those of you who are not familiar with I refer to as the JVSG program, it's a federally funded program from the U.S. Department of Labor. It's free funds. It's a grant given to, actually each state has a grant. It's given to the state to implement the DVOP and LVER programs. The DVOP and LVER are abbreviations and acronyms for two particular staff positions, DVOP being Disabled Veterans Outreach Program Specialists and Local Veterans Employment Representatives. So the JVSG is a grant that funds the positions, these positions here in the state of Hawaii and every state. And really their mission is to provide the appropriate relevant services to the veteran group, military spouses, eligible military spouses, with the focus on veterans with significant barriers to employment. So these could be veterans that are deemed homeless, service-connected disabled, low income or low earning veterans, long-term unemployed veterans. Those are examples of the group of individuals that the staff helps provide services to. And it's not only just the DVOP and LVRs who are positioned at the American Job Center on Oahu on Dillingham Boulevard, but it's also the rest of the staff in that center that are trained to also help veterans of the general population and veterans, even though they may not be veterans with barriers. So to proceed on, the nationwide veterans unemployment rate is holding at 8%, while the non-veteran unemployment rate is 10.2%. And this was the case even pre-pandemic. The unemployment rate for veterans was lower than the non-veteran population. For years, though, after 9/11, for many years, the unemployment rate for veterans was much higher than the civilian rate. And a likely reason for the lower rate is likely because veterans are less likely working in those industries that have been severely affected by the pandemic. Those are hospitality or tourist industries, service industries like retail, trade. These are the industries hardest hit, and there may not be as many veterans that are seeking jobs in those industries. The DVOPs and LVR staff have continued to work since March, when the city and county of Honolulu first went to a stay-at-home and work from home emergency order proclamation. The DVOPs and LVR staff have continued to work at the job centers on Oahu since then, since March 23rd. But now they have they are rotating on a work or telework schedule. So some are in the office while others are working from home. The American Job Center is open to the public as of, I believe it was July, but on an appointment basis. And customers, when they visit, veterans, when they visit, they must wear their mask. I did have a chance to go to the Job Center, and it is really expertly equipped with a lot of protective type of equipment, dividers, plexiglass dividers, computer workstations have been repositioned to ensure that there's at least 6 feet social distancing standards are complied with. That's all I have for the JVSG program update. I know we have a couple of DVOPs on the meeting. If anything you might want to add, please do so. If not, we can proceed. Anything from Irving or Ted, Guylan? I don't know if Ramona's on.
I'm here, sir.
No updates from me.
Okay, well, we'll move on. Sir, we'll move on to the next agenda topic, which is military transition programs.
Yeah, military transition programs. Is Mike on? Mike Borman? I saw his name on it, but I see this.
Yes, General, I'm on.
Oh, great. Can you say a few words about what the Army is planning to do this year with the, like your transition summit that you had last year at Schofield? Do you plan
the transition? Oh, I'm sorry. The Career Summit is still a go for this year. It's scheduled for October 27th and 28th, and it's going to be a 100% virtual platform. The first day is going to be panels and workshops and stuff that service members can join virtually. And then the second day is going to be industry leaders and employers working with individual service members on appointment by appointment only. And then the afternoon of the second day is going to be a virtual career fair. Now, we're still working on the agenda with the Hiring Our Heroes folks. I think we kind of threw them a curveball when we said we were going to go virtual with it, because they were expecting us to be a regular live event. But of course, things in Hawaii went south really fast a few weeks ago. So we had no choice but to go virtual with it.
Right. Do you need any help from us?
The requirements are a lot different this year. Of course, the due-outs, the support due-outs that we have on the installation are very few, if any. And in talking with the Hiring Our Heroes folks, what they've typically done with these virtual career fairs is they would have 25 to 30 employers participating, and these employers are handpicked, and they specifically want to hire service members who are separating within 6 months, and they are actively hiring. So instead of looking for service members who are a year out from transition, we're going to focus on those within 6 months of transition. So the crowd's going to be a lot less. Of course, no more rooms full of people anymore, but we still have 1,000 soldiers that fall within that category of 6 months of separation from October.
Okay. Well, if you can think of ways that that I'm able to help you, let me know.
Sure. And I think Tamara Brethauer has some news about keynote speakers.
I can get, well, you need speakers?
Hi, Tamara.
Well,
I wonder if
hi,
she's on.
good afternoon to everyone. Hi, so right
There
now
she
we're
is.
actually, yes, in communication with the CG for USERPAC, Commanding General Paul LaCamera, to hopefully provide the opening remarks for the event. And he wants to do the remarks live. Initially, Hiring Our Heroes they were planning to have pre-recorded remarks, but we may be able to get live remarks from him. So hopefully the conversation continues to move forward positively.
Great, great. Well, you know, the CG left an open invitation for his lieutenant governor, like he did last year. So he's willing to do it this year too.
Do you think it would be difficult with these times to get in and record another message from him?
No, I think we can do that. If you want to do that, we can.
I think the chamber would be thrilled to have him speak again.
Okay, well, let me talk offline with you, and I'll call his office and make arrangements for that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other transition managers on board?
Sir,
I'd like to add one more
oh,
thing.
okay.
Sorry.
No, go
Sorry,
ahead. Mike.
Even though it is, this event is for the Army and the Marine Corps, they're working in tandem to get this set up. This event is for any service member from any of the branches, including veterans and spouses who want to participate. As soon as we get the registration site up and running, we'll be able to widely publish that, make sure everybody has a chance to register for it. Since it's virtual, we're not worried about, crowd sizes and stuff like that. We'll let the chamber worry about that. I'm not worried about that.
Who are you working with at chamber? Is it a local chamber? Or you talk about the U.S. chamber?
No, U.S. Chamber and the Hiring Our Heroes Foundation, the same people who come here every year.
Okay, got it. All right, any other comments on the transition programs, military transition programs? And other veteran service providers, any committee members that have any issues that you want to discuss?
Wanted to add that here at the American Job Center, we're still providing services to the veterans. We're working close in hand with transitioning programs within the services, along with the VA VRE program. So it is still possible to receive services for those that are either transitioning or finding difficult times to find employment. They could either call our office here at the American Job Center to schedule an appointment. Most appointments now are going to be held via teleconference. So once they contact a DVOP or our leaver for services, we'll be able to provide those services for them.
Great. Any comments from the committee? Any questions?
Is Mark on the line?
I am.
Hey, Mark, is this the moment that we were talking about that the VSOs can share a little bit of what the challenges and what accomplishments we've been able to make?
Yeah. I mean, as it pertains to your particular space, Wounded Warrior Battalion during the last 5 months under these circumstances, that's the aim of this point in the agenda.
Okay, so let me just go ahead and start it off here. Sir, first of all, good morning. Good morning, Alan, and the rest of the team here at the Workforce Development Council. Roman Galicki here with Wounded Warrior Project. We are a nonprofit veteran service organization. We've been working from our situation-based Wounded Warrior Project. Actually has a program it's called Warriors to Work program that I am the lead here in the state of Hawaii for. Some of the challenges we've been facing during this pandemic kind of relates to across the board, everything all the other folks on the council have been dealing with. The face-to-face interaction, which is a big part of how we gain the relationship and building process with each of our veterans and their family support members that we support and provide resources for, is taken away, obviously. But in lieu of that, we've been able to be successful in the interaction, basically by continuing on with the other mediums that we have available. We do a lot of virtual training here on island now, a lot of virtual interactions for our national partners and some of the things that we do. Recently, we had the Patel folks that opened up the decontamination units here on island to support PPE, the reconstitution of PPE, so that we're not, we're saving on obviously resources and reusing those things. We were able to provide manpower in terms of some of our warriors and family support members to take that employment opportunity and training, which they were sent to Ohio for a week to train on and come back, and now currently working out of, I want to say Mililani or Wow. So that's been a great accomplishment as far as the interaction and how it's proceeding, even in lieu of the limitations on the pandemic. The other folks, of course, will probably testify probably to the fact that from a interaction, actually from a resources perspective, the opportunities that have been afforded our folks here, as far as my population with the veterans that I support and their family members, obviously been trimmed down because of the closure, some of the businesses. But as you alluded to early on, General, that there is plenty of opportunity on the contracting side with the government. Those opportunities continue to come across the board. It's just a matter of, obviously, there's some requirements there. As a veteran population, we're dealing with folks that may have been stepped outside of the service for a minute. So the clearances, those things that we have to deal with on a one-on-one, we're pursuing and going forward with. So any opportunity that you, if the general and the rest of the staff have come across when these contractors, if you can share with us their point of contacts, that would be awesome, because then we can continue to afford our vets that job search and job lead so that they can take advantage of it. Otherwise, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Great. I do have some information that was out published regarding some of the contracts and where the emphasis is going to be on military construction and military work, which also includes cyber. Cyber is a big part of it. Now, you also know that the building up in Guam has got I think, $8 billion budget that they're going to be building facilities there. So that's another opportunity. But for the military here, military construction at Marine Corps Base, Hawaii, over at Pearl Harbor, where they are moving some of the shipyards or improving the shipyards, and then work over in Kauai. But Alan Hayashi is on. Alan, could you give us more information about the shipyard? Are you there, Alan? I see your picture, but I don't hear your voice. You got your mute off?
Mute, yeah. Alan, you got your mute on?
Am I?
Okay, there we go. We hear you.
Okay. I apologize with my internet. I think my modem's bad, so I'm going to be flipping in and out, but I'll do the best I can. The shipyard's looking immediately for eight positions for welders, new welders. So that's one thing. If you have contacting the AG.
You freeze it up, Alan.
At HCC, so that's a hot issue right now. As far as the work goes at the shipyard, I believe most of this construction work is going to be done on the pier side. So they're improving the piers for the laydown and some of the pier side work for the ships. So I don't have a listing, but General, if you can issue that out to everybody, they'll get a good idea of where the money's going to go. Any questions on that?
So I did have a listing from our last MAC meeting on what is happening in the Pacific. You know, because the new national strategy, which is classified and there's an unclassified part of it that you can get off the internet, talks about the threat in the Pacific and what the military is doing about that. So, you know, the Chinese have been acting up and the Russians. So we're beginning to rebuild our capability in the Pacific, which includes Hawaii and Guam and also Okinawa, I guess. So money has been increased, and so jobs relating to national defense have been increased. So there are opportunities for our veterans. And like Roman is saying, I'm not sure if we can get, you know, there's issues, I guess, regarding the security clearances and stuff that individuals may have. But for regular individuals, you should be able to qualify better, I guess, with the veterans preference issues. Maybe we need to look at what the law is saying about veterans preferences, because that should give our veterans an advantage. There is, I think, a requirement that when military contracts are given out, that the companies that win the contract are must be able to give jobs to veterans, a certain percentage of the workers they hire. So I just saw Ann come on. Ann, do you know more about that than I do as far as what the rules say for veterans preferences for military contracts?
Okay, so veterans preference only applies to federal agencies that are hiring, not to military contractors. For military contractors that are working for the military or the government, they have a goal of 20% of their workforce should be veterans. But they don't have to.
Are you cutting out, Ed? And can you repeat that last part of what you said?
Okay. If they get audited, a company doesn't have to, they have a goal to hire 20% of their workers as veterans, but they don't actually have to meet the goal. They have to show that they are trying to meet the goal through their recruiting efforts. So it's different than veterans preference, but veterans preference definitely applies to federal hiring. So if the jobs at the shipyard are federal jobs, WGS kind of jobs, then veterans preference applies to veterans who actually have preference, which is somebody who would retire below the rank of major or get out of active duty below the rank of major.
So if a company doesn't, gets a contract and attempts to hire veterans but doesn't do that, what happens? Is there any penalty for that, or nothing happens to that?
They could be prohibited from getting another federal contract, but the reality of the situation is that as long they're put on a corrective action plan if they're not trying to hire. But in most cases, they are trying to hire. It's just that they don't always get veterans who are qualified applying for their openings, and they're going to take a qualified person because, I mean, they're going to fill their opening. And so if they can show that they reached out to veterans, to like the JVS, to the AJC, the big way they can show that they are trying to hire veterans is by posting their jobs in HireNet Hawaii. Because then we tell our transitioning service members to look at HireNet for job opportunities. And the AJC staff and the DevOps and the leaver are looking at HireNet. So as long as they're posting out there, then veterans should be able to see what's there, what they qualify for, and get hired. So that's a big indicator of a company trying to hire veterans is by posting their job opportunities on HireNet. If OWCP sees that they're not posting jobs on HireNet, then that's kind of a key indicator that a company needs to do more, and more usually means post your jobs on HireNet.
Great. Okay. Well, maybe we can also check, make an announcement with the Chamber of Commerce locally that, they should emphasize the hiring of veterans for the different positions that come open. But anybody that has any ideas regarding this issue, let us know what we can do about it. Thank you, Ann.
Thanks, Ann.
Okay, where are we now?
Sir, we're on the next agenda item. If there are no further input from other veteran service providers, we do have our first new participant from Maui, Keiko DePonte, but he'll voice up. I asked him to voice up on the members' announcements, but we have our first neighbor island committee member. I don't think any other of the standing committees of the council have committees that is from neighbor islands. So that's great that he's on there. So the next one, sir, is the pandemic economy, which I'll be presenting.
Wait, what was that person's name from Maui?
Keiko, you want to sound off? Keiko DePonte?
Yes. Yeah. Hi.
Okay.
Sorry, my mic was.
He's an Army veteran, and he's employed by the Maui Community College, I believe, but he'll share more information.
Okay.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Keiko DuPont, and I'm actually the youth provider for Maui for WIOA, but on a non-compensation basis. I do assist with our Veterans Resource Center here at our campus alongside Aris Banog. One of the issues or barriers that I've noticed recently here, other than not having a whole lot of federal jobs or federal support regarding veterans to get in, like Oahu has a lot of DoD contracts and stuff, is that our homeless veteran population, although we have some shelter space that they're getting U.S. vet support or grants, there's still that transition to employment. And because there's a process to get them qualified as a healthcare enrollee, once they're healthcare enrollee, then VASH can actually come in and do more of the support. There's been some significant barriers with some of the veterans that slightly aren't within that, like they don't meet either a certain percentage for non-service connected or service connected to get VR and E, or any other financial support other than healthcare enrollment. And so at least that's one of the barriers that I've noticed working with some of the older veterans here on Maui. Even if we tried to link them to the adult program, dislocated worker program, it's very minimal because of the opportunities that they have and the restrictions they have within their age and their health. So that was the main critical component I wanted to bring up, at least for Maui. For Molokai and Lanai, I can't really answer on their behalf because I haven't got like representation or them talking to me about it or them expressing it. But at least for Maui, that's been something that I noticed recently. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up. I'm from Maui, born and raised, and love that island.
Oh, yes. Awesome, sir.
Yeah. Okay, getting back to the agenda, Mark.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'm going to bring up the slideshow. And one moment, please. Let me just get this up. Is there anything showing right now? No.
Work opportunity tax credit. Is that what you wanted?
No, I don't. That's interesting. Okay, let me. I'm sorry. One moment, please.
I think it's your taxes.
Oh. Okay. I brought up the wrong presentation. Let me try this again. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Michelle, our technician right here. Sorry, go way back. Do you see something now, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
You do?
Pandemic.
Okay, great. I see you in there, Robert Bullen. Is that you there on the second row? Good afternoon, everybody.
Maybe.
Aloha. Good afternoon, aloha. Thank you for being here today. I'd like to take a few moments to provide you a brief overview of the current labor market situation on Oahu. During this unique, unprecedented pandemic period, so far, 5 months and still counting, unfortunately. Generally speaking, labor market information refers to the identification of occupations, industries, and employers hiring in a local area. It looks at slow-growing occupations and industries as well as fast-growing. It considers the reasons for recent business closures. It looks at and compares occupational wages to the living wage needs of individuals. The information, labor market information, is used by workforce development professionals and transition counselors to guide clients on the most streamlined and appropriate career pathway that matches a client's skills, interests, motivation, and experiences. So the information is also used by transitioning military personnel in deciding on whether to stay in the 50th state after leaving military service. So some of the topics I'll highlight, as you can see from this slide, I'll speak briefly about the industries and jobs impacted the severest by the pandemic, the Hawaii tourism industry or hospitality industry. I'll highlight jobs that have remained steady in keeping workers on board. I'll speak to jobs that you already know about that are growing and will continue to grow, ironically, due in part to COVID. I'll also speak briefly about the living wage and what that is all about. Today marks 161 days for Oahu residents living under a variation of a stay-at-home, work-from-home emergency order that went into effect on March 23rd, 2020 by our Mayor Kirk Caldwell. Yesterday, for those who saw the press conference, the U.S. Surgeon General and the Governor Ige and Mayor Caldwell held a press conference to notify the public here on Oahu and statewide, or actually just on Oahu, that the stay-at-home work from home order is being re-energized with a lot of the exceptions to the orders that were in place during 161 days. So on March 23rd, a stay-at-home order went in place by the City and County of Honolulu. And along with that, there's a lot of caveats as far as exceptions. You know, what is the exception as far as, you know, you don't need to stay home or work from home, you know, essential businesses and essential employees, for example. Well, this press conference essentially went back to the same restriction level, 161 days, and it's going in place for 2 weeks, for the next 2 weeks, to try and flatten the curve and bring down the triple digit count in the new daily COVID cases. In April, when Hawaii's unemployment rate was at its highest during the pandemic at 23.8%, there have been 234,000 applications or UI claims filed with the Unemployment Insurance Division. In the month of April, 150,900 workers were either furloughed or laid off from their jobs. Compared to the month prior in March, 16,000 were separated from their jobs and filed for unemployment. Of the total 224,000 claims filed, an estimated 100,000 claims were filed by workers directly and indirectly in the hospitality industry. Due to the pandemic, the Hawaii tourism industry has taken a big hit, effectively shutting off the flow of visitors arriving since March and having the effect of laying off a third of the civilian labor workforce on Oahu. Hawaii tourism is about not only filling up the 50,000 hotel rooms statewide, it's also the 216,000 jobs that are created by the industry in subset industry sectors such as airlines, cruise ships, ground transportation, food and beverage, entertainment, and retail. It's no secret that the tourism industry employs many of the lowest wage earners in Hawaii at near the minimum wage of $10.10 an hour. Union members in tourism earn better wages than non-union workers and certainly above the living wage for a household of one. For reasons why 10.4 billion visitors came to Hawaii in 2019 and generated almost $18 billion in economic activity, i.e. the weather, the surf, the culture, and the attractions, with the Arizona Memorial being, I believe, the #1 tourist attraction in the state, are the reasons why the tourism industry, I would argue, will continue to be a reliable creator of jobs for Hawaii's residents in the foreseeable future, even with many jobs below, or even with a lot of the jobs near the minimum wage level. There's no doubt that there are ample jobs and career opportunities in the hospitality and tourism field in Hawaii for transitioning service members, veterans, and military spouses. The challenge is overcoming Hawaii's cost of living and earning wages that provide a reasonable, comfortable, and satisfactory lifestyle. There are many sources and studies determining what the Hawaii living wage is. It can be as low as $16 an hour up to $26 an hour for a household of one. A living wage is the minimum earnings one has to make to pay for basic needs. My research reveals a living wage on Oahu is $24.04 per hour for a household of one. This amount is based on two key factors: an average monthly rent expense of $1,700, and that was based on a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 1 parking, ground level, actually upstairs level, 650 square foot townhome unit. Let me say that again. So the amount is based on two key factors: an average monthly rent expense of $1,700 and no existing debt. For example, this living wage calculation includes car ownership and the expenses that come along with that: registration, paying for gas, fixing the car. But it was based on car ownership with no car payment. So essentially the car was paid off. So $24.04 per hour accounted for a household of one having their own private transportation. Now, having a household of two, whereby each member earns $20 per hour in a job, is equal more or less to a household of one earning $40 per hour, well above the $24 an hour living wages for a household of one with the same household cost factors. Now, keep in mind the definition of living wage acceptable across academia and specialists who study this issue is the minimum amount of earnings one has to earn or make to pay for basic needs. I want to move on to occupations with the highest annual openings, with the particular source that I received this information from. No surprise, it's service industry, which is a subset of the hospitality or hotel industry. It's no surprise that these type of occupations are going to have the highest openings just because they're the lowest paying. And there you got it right there, what those jobs are. Now, occupation was with the lowest annual openings projected, and this source that I refer to is over a 10-year period starting in 2018. So this data set is about 3 to 4 years old already, and it constantly changes. Some of these occupations kind of surprised me, but like, for example, computer hardware engineers, I just thought that would still be sailing along, being in demand. Now, the fastest growing occupations on a percentage, not necessarily having the most job openings, but percentage, looking at it on a percentage growth basis, are these particular occupations. Now, solar and PV installers, that didn't surprise me. I knew, Hawaii's on a per capita basis, Hawaii is one of the top consumers of solar and PV technology for obvious reasons. Not surprising me also, and this goes nationwide with the baby boom population, the majority or the focal, I think the center of gravity of the age of the baby boom population. Baby boom is defined as those born in 1965 or 64 and prior, are starting to age and necessitate home health aides, personal care aides, and these occupations will grow fast. But unfortunately, these are also low-paying earners in these occupations. Physician assistants, nurses, doesn't surprise me. That has been a fastest growing occupation for several years here in Hawaii. Physical therapist assistants, occupational therapy assistants, and statisticians and health and medical professors. Now, I'd like to talk to strategy and what I consider the niche matchups for veterans and transitioning service members. Military veterans and transitioning service members, many are seeking career and job transitions that align closely with their military occupational skill sets, obviously. For example, commercial driver's license, truck or bus driver, airframe and power plant mechanic, commercial airline pilots, nurses, medical technologists, law enforcement chief executives, security officers, cybersecurity specialists, highly trained digital specialists, intel analysts, and lots more. So those occupations I just named off are the civilian version of the similar occupations that service members serve in the armed forces. A niche industry that seamlessly accepts transferable skills from the military and easily commands wages higher than $24 an hour are jobs with the Department of Defense federal contractor community. Many of these jobs on Oahu are located on military bases. Federal law requires, and Anne Greenlee alluded to this earlier, federal law requires that federal contractors active, and not just DoD, but federal contractors. These can be private sector employers that have contracts with U.S. Department of Labor, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, so it's just not with the DoD. But federal contractors must demonstrate their effort in recruiting, hiring, and retaining veterans, especially disabled veterans. Now, do they have to hire every veteran that fills out an application for their business? The law says no, they don't have to, but they have to just demonstrate the effort. And like Ann said, a lot of contractors do hire, especially DoD contractors do hire military veterans, because you see a lot of service members getting out of the military and getting jobs lined up with federal contractors at Camp Smith, Pearl Harbor, Hickam, etc. But federal contractors do have to submit, I believe it's quarterly reports to the U.S. Department of Labor, showing data points and sets that demonstrate their effort in recruiting, hiring, and retaining veterans. Now, another niche industry or source of employment for veterans is with federal, state, and county level government type jobs. And the reason why this is because at all three levels of government here in Hawaii, especially, and I'm sure across the nation, incorporate some type of veteran hiring preference. The federal government exceeds the level of hiring preference they give to veterans compared to what the state and county, city and county. But still yet, state and city and county, a veteran can leverage their competition over the non-veteran group applying for the same kind of jobs with the city and state also. Another niche, I think, occupational career or industry is jobs that where a veteran can start a career as an apprentice, and a lot of these jobs are typically in the conventional trade industries, carpenters, plumbers, HVAC specialists, heavy equipment operators, and it goes on. And these jobs easily command starting as well as growth earnings throughout one's career that are well exceed $24 an hour. Now, here in Hawaii, through special programs under the U.S. Department of Labor, there are other types of industries that are latching on to the apprenticeship concept that are typically trade type jobs. For example, Kapi'olani Community College has a grant that they're operating that is putting those seeking career fields in the culinary industry and the health and medical industry. They have a grant to put on classes at that community college that prepares culinary workers to work in the industry. And what happens is, like the trades apprenticeship programs, they attend classes at the community college while actually starting and serving a apprenticeship with an employer in the private sector here on Oahu. And then when the prescribed apprenticeship study and program is finished, they become apprentice at those particular employers, and their pay takes a dramatic increase. In summary, the outlook for good paying Hawaii jobs for veterans is very attainable, realistic. Jobs that more than exceed the living wage of $24 an hour for a household of one. But the key in getting on a seamless pathway to good paying jobs and great quality of life is leveraging the array of transition services veterans have access to prior to and after leaving military services. And a lot of you in the audience are part of these programs and are familiar with them and operate them. The Skills Bridge program, I had never heard of it until it was presented by one of the committee members 2 years ago in a committee meeting. Great, I think that's an outstanding program. The Transition Assistance Program, Military Transition Specialists, several of you who are here in the meeting in the role you play at your respective military bases. Career summits and these kinds of events that are put on by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Hiring Our Heroes organization. The American Job Center throughout the nation, American Job Centers throughout, not just here on Oahu. The DVOP and LVR staff, specially trained staff to help veterans with significant barriers to employer and also eligible military spouses. And my favorite, federal preferences for federal, state, and county government jobs, federal contractors, which we talked about, and my favorite of all time program service benefit that all veterans have, whether you're honorably discharged or even negatively discharged, like it could be a bad conduct discharge, have lifetime priority of service at the American Job Centers nationwide. That's lifetime for veterans continuing to work throughout their lifetime. So what does that mean? That means essentially, simply put, when a veteran goes into American Job Center and discloses to the receptionist that they're a veteran, at that point, a DD 214 does not need to be presented. So it could be a veteran that has a bad conduct discharge or general discharge, but that veteran at that point at least gets priority of services at the basic types of services available to the general population. So if they want to use the computer in the resource center and all the computers are filled up at the moment he or she walks in, the veteran, and there are 5 people waiting to get on those computers to do job searching, to edit their resumes, what have you, that veteran will move ahead and will be the next one, or will be the next person that gets the first available computer workstation to do his or her thing. So that veteran moves ahead of the line. That's a simple example of what priority of services are. So what it is any federal Department of Labor, Employment and Training Administration funded program in an American Job Center must, by law, in order to be funded, must provide priority of services to veterans. Now, as a veteran gets to go deeper into the level of services that can be offered to both the population and veterans, then the veteran will need to eventually show or disclose or prove or provide some kind of evidence that they're a veteran and that is providing a DD-214 to enter into specific types of programs that are funded, like job training. Eligible spouses, military spouses, are also eligible for this priority of service. The general military spouse population doesn't necessarily meet the priority of service standard unless they meet what is prescribed as, and there's 4 criteria in which eligible spouses receive priority of services. For example, one is a spouse of a POW or missing in action. Another one is a spouse of a deceased 100% disabled veteran. They would get priority of service on the same level that other veterans get. That is my favorite transition services that I believe a lot of veterans are just not aware of, and I like to present it like that. Lifetime priority of service. I mean, I don't even get, as a veteran, veterans don't get priority at the VA clinic unless, I guess, unless you're, I don't know, unless you're a different type, you're a certain type of veteran that can get, I guess, ahead in priority of service. But what other type of veteran services existing in our community provides lifetime free priority of service? And that's the American Job Center. And that's kind of how I pitch it. And a lot of transitioning service members just don't know that. Yeah, right. You're not going to get a cup of coffee at the Job Center. You know, you're not going to get into a comfortable plush couch while you're waiting for the next available workstation, but you are especially recognized and get that kind of treatment when you go to American Job Center. So, and I just want to finish up that the type of industries during the last 5 months here on Oahu and statewide that have been negligibly impacted by the COVID virus are government jobs, federal contractors, hospital and healthcare workers, and some retail brick and mortar employers, just as an example. Now the state government is going to be impacted pretty soon, and state and city and county employees know that. But initially, for the initial 5 months, government workers have pretty much been protected. Job and industries thriving. I did not finish this list, but online retailers, grocery stores, restaurants with delivery and takeout service, digital streaming services such as Hulu, Netflix, etc., virtual meeting platforms, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Blue Jeans, digital upscaling businesses and services, advanced coding, networking, cybersecurity, and other type of skills that I've never even heard of that I'm just starting to hear in the digital world. Online learning companies, and anything that provides an opportunity where you can do teleworking or work from home. That is that completes my overview of the labor market here in Hawaii on Oahu for the last 5 months. Now, if you were expecting, you know, $40 an hour type jobs and above that I was briefing, I'm just hitting on the common labor market picture typically here in Hawaii. Now, there's a hidden job market for particular jobs that veterans and the population at large are looking for that are not necessarily advertised on online sites. But what the federal contractor jobs are good paying jobs. I tell you, there's just a lot of federal contractors here on Oahu, and that's a great source of good paying jobs if a veteran wants to try to master the challenge of the cost of living here in Hawaii if they live here. So yeah, that's it, sir. That completes my presentation. If there aren't any other questions, next on the agenda is a military spouse subcommittee update.
Before you leave, I want to thank you for such a great presentation, very detailed. And I know it took you a lot of time and a lot of work to do that. But one of the points you try to make was that there are a lot of jobs that have not been affected by the pandemic. If you look online, you'll see, I saw 59 aviation mechanic jobs opened the other day on the internet. So there are jobs that are open that a lot of them relate to the military. So I know we're short on time, so I just want to pass on next to the Military Spouse Subcommittee update. Roman?
Thank you, sir. I'll make it short and quick. As with the Military and Veteran Affairs Committee, the Military Spouse Subcommittee has not convened since November 19th, 2019. So as the volunteer lead for the subcommittee, I'd like to encourage as many of you to participate on the subcommittee as we explore key employment transition issues Hawaii's military spouses face while here in Hawaii with their service member. In the past year, we have held 4 meetings, discussed a range of topics, the most common barriers military spouses face, the Hire Our Heroes Military Spouse Program, the Hire Our Heroes Corporate Fellowship Program, have hosted a speaker on teleworking opportunities for military spouses, and discussed programs such as the Military Spouse Economic Empowerment Zones, or MSEEZ, and my career advancement account scholarships, and the Work Ready 360 telework opportunity. On future agendas, we'll discuss barriers that spouses face transferring job skill certifications and credentials from one state to another. And we will continue the discussion on how we can pursue getting Hawaii, or at least the island of Oahu, as a designated military spouse economic empowerment zone, or MSEEZ. I'm working closely with Mark on the WDC staff to schedule the next meeting, so stay tuned. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the time.
I have a question. On the American Job Center, does the military spouses have any special category for them? You know, like veterans preferences do. What does a spouse have? Military spouses have any special dispensation?
Sir, on that end, I think Mark actually spoke a little bit about some of the classifications in which the military spouses can actually take part in services with the American Job Center. I know in his last slide referencing transition opportunities and organizations, we also have Wounded Warrior Project, like I said, that we cater to veterans and specifically their family support members, in this case, military spouses as well. And that is a service that's provided as part of our program free of charge to help them with resumes, job leads, resources, training, and so forth.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Alan, you know what we were discussing earlier on the military budget. I'm not sure you really came through and gave us what.
Okay, you're breaking up. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You're kind of breaking up.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. But did you have anything else to bring up on that? Did you have?
Well, it's ship repair. If I just concentrate on ship repair, there's over $1 billion for the next 5 years. It's going to be issued in contracts for ship repair. So just that one industry alone is going to be busy, and that's a reason for the appeal for welders. Welders is just a starting skill set, but there's an immediate need next month to train 8 welders, and that's only because that's money limit. That's the limited amount that was committed by the state. The following month, we're going to be issuing more. So any of you transition managers, if you'd work with the lever, the DevOps, ask them about the program for September, because that's an immediate need for welders. There'll be other skill sets, painting, they call it coating in the ship repair industry, pipe fitting, electronics, several others. Construction's also busy, so lots of opportunity. And these are high-paying jobs. I mean, a journeyman welder is probably over $100,000 in wages. So it's not a low-paying job. It's really high-paying.
Great. So it's an industry in itself. It covers all kinds of different jobs.
That's correct.
So, you know, it's an opportunity that our veterans need to know about. Okay. Any announcements to be made before we close the meetings? Any questions that we left unanswered in the chat box? Do we have anything there?
Sir, I have one announcement for the group. In case they're interested, there's a statewide veterans virtual conference on September 9th and 10th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And it's called Serving Never Stops, Assisting Homeless Veterans During the Pandemic. Anybody can register and attend. It's being held virtually from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., 3 hours per day, September 9th and 10th. And, you know, some of the issues they'll talk about is the Homeless Veterans Task Force, Mayor's Challenge, Veteran Affairs will be talking. So it's email was from Mark Alexander, Executive Director of Office of Housing, City and County of Honolulu. And by the way, a former Roman Catholic priest. I don't know if you folks who've been around for a while know that. He left the priesthood and went directly getting involved with the homeless situation. Just a heck of a person. Anyways, I'm going to email this info to you. If you want to participate, just follow the instructions. You'll be registering on the eventsbright.com website. So that's that. Thank you, sir.
What else? Any other announcements? Now, getting back to the ceremony, you know, we have the sites where the airplanes are going to fly over, and I think that's going to come out on with our printed version of this meeting. Now, things might change, so you might want to look it up in Facebook Live, and it's facebook.com/75th World War WW2. Or they're going to live stream everything on Hawaii News Now on the 2nd of September from 8:30 to 11. Now, the official website for the 75th commemoration is www.75thWorldWar2Commemoration.org. And you should be able to get all the data you need there. But the flyovers are not going to be very long, so you want to be positioned so you can see it at the right time. And do we have time to show those pictures again, Mark? One is August 29th and the 30th and September 2nd. So this one is on August the 29th, Saturday. This is the route it's going to take. It starts at 10 o'clock from Wheeler Air Force Base. It goes down to the stadium, to Punch Bowl, along Diamond Head to Makapu'u. It'll be at Makapu'u at 10:16. Marine Corps Base Hawaii at 10:20. Laie at 10:25. And Opana Point at 10:27. Haleiwa Airfield, and then back to Wheeler. They want to pass over all the airfields that were in existence during World War II. And believe me, there was like 14 of them. A lot of them. A lot of them along the North Shore. Next slide. Okay, this is Sunday, goes along the west side, takes off out of Wheeler, goes to Haleiwa Airfield, over to Kaena Point, down to the Kahi power plant, over to Waipahu, over Fort Island, and lands at Wheeler at 10:23. There were like 4 or 5 airfields between Kaena Point and along that North Shore area. There were Mokelea, Haleiwa, airfields all along the North Shore. Next.
Hey, General, can you have Mark just send that link out for those
Yeah,
the air show? Just that link, I think would help. And we probably ought to have that for the meeting tomorrow so that 41 members and those who are in attendance can view that those slides.
Okay.
Hey, sir,
Right.
I'm curious. What's the altitude they'll be flying at?
I really don't know, but I would say it would be around 2,000, 1,500, 1,000 maybe. 1,000 is actually a little low, maybe 1,500 feet. So everybody can, the higher it is, that more people can see it. But they normally go about 1,500, 2,000. And they're probably going at about 150 knots airspeed. Okay, and this is for the September 2nd. It starts off earlier at 7:50 along the west side and over to Port Island where the ceremony is. So it's going to be a nice thing to. They're also having a lot of activities relating to schools, and the Aviation Museum is going to have a display actually on the 4th Marine Division and the naval aviators on Maui at the Aviation Museum. Okay, any other comments before I shut down the meeting? Okay, thank you very much for attending. Mahalo. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Stay safe, be well.
Thank you,
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.